do a check. How's this sound? Looking pretty fucking good.
Check. 1, 2, welcome back. FlyOver Statements.
FlyOver Statements. This will be episode 6.
Well, I think we only have up to 3 on YouTube.
We have 3 on YouTube, and I'm sitting on 2.
Okay, gotcha. So we get 6.
Yeah. So the only thing I'd like to say is that I'll try. I'm not going to post this tonight, dude. I'm going to fall asleep as soon as we walk out the door. But I got a free night tomorrow. I'll post the other 2. All right, cause we have like quite a bit, and there are some that I think like just as far as our reputation, maybe even from an ethical concern, we shouldn't post the Adderall and gabapentin one with Miranda. Though I'd love to have.
Right, we did have one that went off the rails and was just not that good, but. Maybe someday we'll put that on like a Patreon or a private account, like pay $5, you get to see our blooper vids. Yeah.
Okay. In the future, maybe.
If people genuinely like us, they would want to see those things. But I think as of now, nobody knows who we are. You know.
Right. No. See, that's why I'm not worried at all. Like I don't want to view this like mute. Oh, anyway, I'm just. If anyone is listening, we have like 3 pretty much coming. And I'm not even going to judge them or, like, tell you what I think. It doesn't matter. Like, check it out. If you don't like it, don't listen. Check out the next one.
Like, we're humans, and humans are dynamic creatures. Like, I'm not always the same guy every day. Depending on, like, what mood I'm in, what's going on. Like, the way I respond is going to be different. Some days I'm going to be kind of off. Some days I might be egotistical. Some days I might be down in the dump. Like, so you got to, I think, take everybody with a grain of salt and just kind of, you know, recognize that nobody is one fixed static character. So
of course
you might like the way I am one day or the ideas I had and then dislike them the next. That's cool. Like that's how we get a conversation going. That's how we bring people together.
Right. And then the thought, like reflecting on each other's ideas over time. Like I hear something and you hear something, and then we don't do it for a week or sometimes 2 weeks, and then there's all the thoughts that you can have, like when you're by yourself. Like at your one job, when you're by myself, I just stick to myself.
Both my jobs, I'm usually flying solo. I get into like a meditative state.
Oh yeah,
you know?
Well, that's why I run 2 to 5 times a week, man. Like, cause I've been meditating, just recently, like currently recently, to some just binaural soundscapes, different frequencies. But you do that shit while you're on a 5-mile run.
Does it really work?
Yeah, man. And like it happens without the binaural. Like I don't even like. There's a lot of people I've said that like it can get you fucking high. It can like get you tripping. I don't see them on the same.
Do you have like MP3s or like some version of that you could share?
Yeah, no, they have like every drug a frequency.
We should set up a website and put that on as like a download, offer some binaural beat, like the ones that work for you. That's what I'm saying, because I've tried them before and I've never had like crazy success, but I've also never got really into it, you know?
Well, that's because you're like comparing like an apple to a dolphin. Like they're both alive. Like they're both feelings.
I don't think I was sensitive enough to that kind of stuff until the last year or 2 to where it would have like I would have totally overlooked little changes in frequency and stuff. But now I feel like I can feel them. Right,
especially if you put it on with the intention to like do something kind of like I put it on like so. My limit. Like the lowest I've been doing recently is 5 miles. So it was 4 miles for like 3 or 4 months as a minimum. Then I push it to like 8 or 9. But now my minimum's like 5. So I'll do 2.5, maybe 3 if I'm not like super in the zone. Listen to a stream, like a couple different people, and then I'm like, okay, like now it's time to go to work. Yeah. Like I'm in the flow state. I'm.
Oh yeah.
And then I put on, and I don't look. I just type in meditation music and then the frequency I want to. I've been doing 536 hertz, 432, and I've tried 936 once. And dude, I'm having like downloads, man. It just like as the truther side of me, like when you hear something, like I could hear it from a Hindi, I could hear it from a Christian, I could hear it just when you hear the truth. It like resonates.
Yeah.
You. And
that's
like,
the perfect word.
Yeah, I've gotten philosophical since forever, man. Just take it after I finish this. When you get, and I say get, like when you receive a thought in your own head that resonates with you.
Yeah.
Like I've been having downloads, man. It's crazy.
And that ties in. There's a lot of guys like Tesla that, he described that the human mind, we think of it the wrong way. It's not so much everything's internal. It's more like it's a radio receiver and we're picking up, what the universe is putting out. Which gives it a more spiritual kind of aspect,
And like that's where Joe Rogan's kind of cool. He'll put that idea out there, but he focuses too much, I think, on who his average audience is. So he dumbs it down.
Well, yeah,
like
because he's like mainstream, like he's big enough that. But I will say that right now at this current moment, he's probably like the best and most important person, like fighting against this COVID thing publicly and spreading some of that knowledge that like people aren't hearing other places.
Yeah, Russell Brand just kind of started. Like Brand, I've never listened to him until I couldn't believe the title of one of his videos. I was like,
yeah, no, he's an interesting guy. He's very thoughtful.
Yeah, I've listened to him. He has a lot of the mindfulness, heartfulness.
I actually watched him do one with Jordan Peterson once. I'm not sure, but that's what's coming to mind. It was whatever one it was really interesting. I know I saw him do a Rogan once, but I think it was him and Jordan Peterson, who he is also. He's been starting to come out now, talking about basically the fascist state that is emerging, and are we going to allow this to keep going? Because
so have you heard the latest Australia news?
Well, the last
about the app.
Yeah. No, in Australia, they're like rolling out the full like 2030 plan. They're going fast. I think that's the test ground. That's like where they could actually get the scheme through and roll it.
It's an island, so where they're gonna go.
This thing really is falling apart. I don't think it's gonna go much further in the U.S. because people are actually starting to get mad and notice the truth now. Like I think really in a few months, when all these people drop in from the vaccines, it's gonna be too hard to ignore.
Yeah.
Like, I think there really will be public outrage, but where this is going, the fascist kind of control state and using technology and tracking to implement all that, that's not, like, they're going to keep trying different angles.
Of course.
It's not
Dude, they've been doing this forever. Since the beginning of time. Like,
Since the beginning of banking.
I started reading St. John, and literally, like, the Pharisee is trying to kill him because he's saying the words that they don't like it if you say. Yeah. They're not paying attention to who he is. They're not paying attention to what he says or what he does or how he's like revered. Rules. They're just like you said, the bad words.
Well, the important part of that story, I think, that the Bible leaves out is that Jesus was an actual rabbi. At least
they call him rabbi.
The historical evidence shows like that's not just something they were saying, like he was legitimately a rabbi, which in that day and age, the other interesting part of that is to be a rabbi, you pretty much had to be married. Like it would be very, very abnormal to be a single man.
I'd like those missing books of his life,
Oh, yeah.
And
there's, in the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Nag Hammadi Scrolls, there's a lot more stuff. There's Gospel of Mary, Gospel of Thomas. There's a lot of shit that was left out following the Council of Nicaea.
Who did I read? The Apothecary. Apocrypha.
The Apocrypha of John is just like...
Dude, 365 demons, constructed man, and like they breathed life into Adam, which was like the soul of an angel or a demon. They were using the term demon like it wasn't
Well, and
bad.
demon has meant very different things throughout the ages.
Yeah.
Like, it used to be more commonly spelled with the AE, like in ether.
Yeah, right. A daemon.
Demon. And that was more the idea, kind of closer
Dude,
to
that word just popped in my head because remember male demons? Or like mail or daemon, junk mail?
Like the servers.
As soon as you started what you were saying, I thought, male daemon.
Oh, yeah, no.
And then you're like, yeah, the AE. And
it seems like the bandwidth has been really high lately because I'm picking up everything like quick and clear. I almost wonder, though, if that isn't part of this whole like technological COVID rollout because
they're trying to block your upgrade, dude. It's time. The grand solar minimum, it's supposedly started this year, happens every 400 years, and it coincides with every single fall of an empire. And this is only shit that I've heard, and I haven't done a lot of research, but the 3 people I've heard talk about it, like, they're on point. They don't fuck up. Like, they know how to call it. Their batting average is really good. Yeah, dude, I thought... I like, struggle with me shit. So, my birthday was on Monday, and as a gift to myself, I wanted to... I don't know, just like start doing it, man. And so it said September 1st, 2 days later, there's this, I won't even say the name or say the challenge, but it's a very small community within this online community of people who are like, yeah, we're like talking all this game, like, do you want to be about it? And I don't want to divulge too much because it's like I don't want to let pride get in the way and feel good and then I stop. Like I really want to keep doing it. But ever since Tuesday, man, it's literally like a light switch flipped on. Yeah. And like for 4-5 days, like 4 days before my birthday, like I take kratom, so that definitely would mask illness.
Potentially.
And it's, I've heard, like, yes, it's it isn't super awesome. It isn't great for your liver. At times I don't know if it's like a continuous and just gonna beat it down. But anyway, I've heard just because it's a green leaf and some of the things in it, it's pretty good for your immune system. I've read a couple people's testimonies, and I've read one article saying there's a possibility, but it's not very studied, like, at all.
Before I jump into that, I got 2 points that I don't want to lose them. One, you were talking earlier about, like truth resonating. And I was thinking about that at the time, and I think that really is like your entire DNA, your structure, all these years of evolution are sending you that signal, like they're not going to be wrong. They're picking up all the signals in the environment, shit you don't notice and feel, like your subconscious is processing. So when you feel that moment of resonation of truth, like typically you should go with it. That's theoretically billions of years of evolution, maybe thousands, depending which version of the world you believe. But either way, that's all of human history in you. Like, you are this entire lineage of people compressed into one fucking hard drive.
I mean, just because the material, sure, is the material, but, like, because of the soul, I believe, like, you are a living organism, like, not only materially, but metaphysically, man. So, like, fuck, lost it. No, so you're, like... You're a living thing, and that means you're not in a constant state like, oh, I react to this, like pollen, and that's how it's gonna be forever. And then, like, I don't know, something can happen, I have no idea, and I don't know why I use that example, and then boom, no, like, it doesn't fuck with you. And I think that has to do with frequencies. But the fact that, damn it, I lost it again. It was good, but whatever. Continue.
Oh, my second point was you were talking about the Apocrypha of John, And some of the stuff you're saying corresponds completely with what's in the Sumerian text, with the description of being created by the Anunnaki.
Yeah, and then you told me about the Zechariah Stitchin
he translated ancient Sumerian texts. He was one of the foremost scholars on cuneiform in the 70s. They've tried to discredit him since then, but there are other people who have come to the same
internet
conclusions.
is here, and if it resonates with people, you can't fucking stop that.
The only thing that they were trying to get him on was they were saying, he's interpreting some of these cuneiform pictures wrong. They don't mean spaceship or whatever he's adding to. And his entire point was, in the standard version, people would read it like this, but I think what they really meant and what matches the history is this, and he just presented it. And
so he wasn't even making claims. He was like, "This is what I've been led to believe."
Yeah, he knew more about cuneiform that nobody knows 100% how to read it or like the subtleties because there's no living person that speaks it. But language scholars, studied it for long enough. They've got pretty good translations that make sense. And all he was saying is like, we don't completely know what these symbols are. But if this one doesn't just mean this, if it could also potentially describe this, which matches the story, like spaceship instead of whatever the term would be.
Well, okay, think about...
And it adds up. He wrote it in the 12th planet.
Well, okay, so I'm not sure about whatever the fuck they're saying is outside this atmosphere, but I'm not saying what we've all conceptually been led to believe as space travel and other quote-unquote planets. I think it is I think the reality is vastly different than what we've been told it is. But if what he was saying is true about the Sumerians, and there's some things like in the Dead Sea Scrolls, and even like some subtle shit directly in the Old Testament, maybe they're like, how would they have a word for spaceship? Because it wasn't a fucking spaceship, because that's not what they were going. They weren't going through a vacuum. They were going through fucking...
Well, and he gives a perfect description of this in the book where he says, this actually matches up with Genesis in the story of Adam. When they said he took Adam's rib, they used the word rib because it was like the closest Hebrew word that they could kind of sort of make sense of, but what they really meant was genetic material, something they didn't have a word for. So they were giving the closest explanation they could that made sense to them of like how this happened. Like they took something out of him, he made another one. And that pretty much matches up with Zechariah's translations of these Sumerian texts, and other people have come to the same conclusion where he says it's a story it matches 100% with Genesis. The Anunnaki come to Earth. It doesn't really describe why, but in theory, there's something wrong with their planet. They need resources, whatever. So they come here and find, probably in search of water and some of this shit, but they find, primitive man, whatever stage we would have been at, Neanderthal, Australopithecus, Homo erectus. We had already evolved. We were already man-like. And they added something from them, probably some component of their DNA, to give us this extra layer of intelligence and understanding so we could be slaves for them.
Yeah, and it's called Genesis. So the start of something new.
Mm-hmm. And it's an interesting book. If you ever get a chance to read The 12th Planet by Zechariah Sitchin, just go through it and look at his version of what the Sumerian texts say and the Old Testament, and like, matches 100% with the book of Genesis if you just have an open mind.
Right.
And you can see that instead of putting the names of some of these actual alien commanders or whatever who were in charge of shit, they just ascribed it all to God. And that was probably changed over time. And that's where the God and the devil thing comes from, is actually these two Anunnaki called Enki and Enlil.
Okay.
In the Sumerian text, that one was in favor of the human project, wanted us to become free, essentially, wanted to save us from their regime. The other one wanted to destroy us because he was sick of it. People were more difficult than they suspected, and they didn't...
But that's the beautiful thing, man.
But it even describes these internal political conflicts of the Anunnaki over slavery, that they had banned it hundreds of years before, and they were creating them again, and it's an interesting...
Kind of like what's happening right now. Do you know what you just said? they banned slavery and then they're creating it again.
Yeah.
Like what's happening right now in society, like per 150 years ago. That's because everything's fractal. So like you're already saying shit that's resonating with me. Speaking of resonating,
it seems like our daily experience here on this earth is just like a time spiral. Like it loops. Sometimes it gets bigger, sometimes it gets smaller, but it just loops in circles. You can compare what's happening now to all sorts of historical events. And if you understand that,
the fractal nature of existence is something I didn't put a lot of thought into until 3-4 years ago, but I didn't even know that's what it was called.
Yeah.
I would just call it like patterns, layers, levels. Like it is just crazy. I'm trying to think of a good example.
My initial thought of it was always like the Russian dolls that are stacked one inside of the. That was like the first visual I got of that system, and then I kind of had a mental image, probably from psychedelics. But I had like a mental image of the entire solar system and zooming out, and realizing that the planets were just electrons. The sun, right? 8 planets rotate. It takes 8 valence electrons to make a stable orbit. Right. We're just part of a larger creature. And the cells and everything in our body probably have their own conscious experience going on as well. And are probably totally unaware that they are just components of our body.
As the last 2 years, my cells are stoked for the most part. And years before that, they were not so stoked.
Yeah.
No, that is crazy. You said that. I remember that first, like, really psychedelic analyzing. And I guess
I always had the thought, but that just like brought it out into view where I could do something with it. You know?
Yeah, it was always like this abstract, like really surreal abstractism. But dude, you just look at shit, and the more reaffirmations you get, the more you're like, oh, that would make sense, and it's less abstract. It's more, as what I was about to say, doesn't like that. The who, I guess the who and the why and the how, like, isn't.
We talking about like the band with Pete Townsend, or like
no?
Wait.
We won't get fooled again.
The who, why.
Baba. God damn, dude, this is what happens when you've had like 9 hours of sleep the past 3 nights, man. Like I'm pretty much on point, but I'm feeling rough and rugged, but mentally.
We don't have to run this thing into the ground either, you know. If you feel like stopping or too tired, just want to like
Oh no, I feel good, but literally I've watched. First day wasn't like Tuesday wasn't bad. Wednesday I noticed it. Today it's pretty bad as far as like I would scan packages like boop 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 boop, and then I take one, stack it, and I forgot which 3 I just fucking scanned. But I know I scanned 3 because I remember the noise, and then I rescan them and it makes this other sound. But anyway, what I was getting at, I'm not worried about the who and the why and necessarily even the how. I'm
You're a what and where guy?
Well, okay. What I've been programmed to believe, like we're in this vacuum of infinite black, but yet these particles can be waves and the waves can be particles, and there's like we've just been told so much. So like the only thing that bothers me about like I guess the what it is that like somebody told me what it was, and I wasn't able to just find it out for myself, or I wasn't able to listen to my intuition. And so then when you kind of realize like there is at least a decent possibility of that they're not telling you the absolute truth, I think for me it was a couple of years, there's this like violent counter reaction of like, okay, they told me this and it's a lie, so you get it.
That's the far out conspiracy theorists. That's
right.
Like where it comes from. You find out this is a lie. This pretty soon you don't know what to believe in.
Right, and no, so I don't. That's what I'm saying. I don't care about that as much just is about, like I told you, I'm still on the same path, but like you said when we first started, man, growth, dude.
Yeah,
like what once
we change.
Yeah, once you label yourself 100% to something, you're dead. So like I did claim Christianity, months ago, and really like to myself, like 2 years ago, possibly in 2016. But then, so like 2 years ago, like affirmed. And then a couple months, like publicly, just telling like a few close friends and family. But it's not even like that's the reason we're in the mess that we're in. Because like as soon as you have a complete concrete label for something that's like labelless, that's forever morphing and infinite and like in infinitesimally small, at the same time, like you're gonna you just start with what you want to be called, and then you start with what you believe is called and what you believe does is called, and then the indoctrination and doctrine starts again. So I mean I'm fascinated by the Sumerian stuff, and like just reading, like just being in a state of mind where I can actually read the Bible. Like I'm fascinated just by that, and it could all be just fables, and I don't give a shit. But the more and more like just like provable truth that the internet has provided, because they have lost the filter of the narrative. Like they can't control the narrative 100%. So that's the reason for disinformation, and that's the reason for like banning people. And then there's like individual controllers that have personal beefs with somebody. There's that too. So like all sorts of different shit. But a lot of provable shit. Like Sweden literally put a 2 meter skull on display, dude. It was a 6 foot fucking tall skull, and then they took it down. Like there's only articles about how they had it up and took it down with no pictures.
The Smithsonian. Well, what I read in the past was that at one point in time, the Smithsonian had that several like giant skeletons. They put them on display, and they took them down and hid them after that, and tried to deny that they. And that gets into the possibility of giant humans.
So once you get just that it's a possibility, I'm not saying that like I need to believe in the Nephilim. I'm not saying that I need to believe that Jesus walked in Jerusalem and
I think
like
I have an answer and a reference point that makes sense, because I think you're putting like too much. It doesn't matter that much.
No, that's what I was saying. Like, I'm more worried. Like, the only reason I care about any of that shit is because I was told what to believe. I couldn't just figure out and find out through my own experience and information.
Still have like some anger and resentment.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's what.
Yeah, but so
I think you judge yourself too harshly sometimes on some of that.
Definitely.
It's a byproduct of whatever that is.
I have to stab myself every day. Like, it'll make you... Like, I have this little fucked up... I call it a twinge. Like, this little... of, like, judgment. Because I'm always like, well, why me? Like, and just on some fundamental, like, childhood psychology shit. Like, why me? Oh, because I'm bad. And so, I think... Wait, before... Let me finish these 2 points. That's the only reason I care about, like, if planets are really, like, these... like 3D, like all that shit. I only care because I was told what to believe. And then 2, like, I'll still claim Christianity, but in a sense to me, from what I've come to understand, is like the more I act on that like righteous, not self-righteous, but righteous frequency, like all this stuff just like comes swirling around me, and it's always my choice if I want to like grab it and connect with it and whirl with it, not take it to make it mine. So I guess that's why like I claim Christianity, but at the same time, all the the last thing is that I don't need a fucking name. Like, I need to read these stories and like, be Christ-like, which isn't just like turning the other cheek shit, dude. That's flipping tables against fucking usury, and that's fucking calling out all the Pharisees when they were trying to stone the adulteress, and you're like, oh, but y'all are all sin-free, and then they all back away and shit. Like,
but he was without sin, cast the first stone.
Dude.
Yeah.
So I know that was really long fucking winded.
That was what popped into my head as you were describing the Christian thing. Is that's how I used to explain it. Is like, I'm trying to be Christ-like. I'm trying to follow the path of Christ. I'm not a Christian, because the Christian church and its history and everything it represents, and the churches that I've seen and been a part of, have nothing to do with any of the shit that Christ said.
Oh yeah, they ruined it for many generations, maybe generations to come.
My thought of the whole bigger thing that you were getting at, the whole beliefs and reality, is that when you really get down to it, I think the quantum physics angle and like the far out spiritual angle, they're the same thing. I think they're right. That really, it is belief and observation that creates everything. And so, once that indoctrination is complete and you firmly believe, like, this table is real, I cannot put my hand through, that's a hard fucking one to break.
Right.
But they have...
But it's 99% not anything, but...
You really can do
It's electricity, and that means it has more to do with vibrations and frequency than we could ever imagine.
If you can open your mind far enough and connect with the spirit side of it, you can start to do things that, seem unbelievable or miraculous. And it's, I think it really does go that far, all the way to the core, that, like, what you believe to be real, your mind then makes, I think, the outer world is an expression of the inner mind. That your mind really does create the whole fucking thing, like a computer simulation. Like, it's hard to grasp and put a hold on it. But that's why I think when you get down to it, none of it really matters. Is it this? Is it that? Because it's all of those things to different people. It's shifting. That's what
I'm saying. Like, your life, that's why I was trying to describe the self, but like, life is a moving, living organism somehow, like on way more many levels I don't understand than I do, but like...
Our Western culture is almost entirely identity-based. It's focused on, who you are, the name, the skills, the history. It is very much about creating the ego and embracing, and,
That's a good example. Like the materialism part. I don't think... At least from what I've read and have been led to believe, so maybe I have no idea, but I don't think they made 666, the mark of the beast, because of the 6 protons, electrons, and neutrons in a carbon molecule. I just think that's a good example of how fractal everything is, and the material literally is like atomic structure is the mark of the beast, because, you reach your hand solely at the material, like you'll probably end up, maybe not like intentionally, living a wicked life.
And I think it makes perfect sense if you put it in that framework. It corresponds with the Bible, that the enemy is the flesh, is the material world. It's also a Gnostic concept, which is more or less what Jesus was. It kind of predates Christianity. But the Gnostic belief was that you had to have gnosis, is state of first-hand communion with God, which for me personally is how I feel on mushrooms, something like that. Like, I really feel that first-hand experience that the mystics write about in those books. But one of the other ideas in it is that this material world itself is negative, is flawed, and that you have to overcome being this spiritual consciousness or whatever trapped in this negative material realm. And that would make perfect sense, that carbon is in fact the beast.
Right.
It's
the fractal.
It is us.
Nature. Let me let this dog out.
All right.
I don't want people to think
I'm gonna sneak off camera real quick then.
Because I love her.
Dogs are great. I need one of my rips. Are they going out?
Oh, the cat is at the bottom of the stairs taunting my dogs.
I'm gonna sneak over there and take a quick look.
No, you put it very eloquently, man.
Thank you.
I'm pushing myself not to the limit. I'm trying to knock out 1,000 squats today. I'm at 700. I think just 700. And they're not like the best squat, every single one. But I will say for every shitty squat I do the hardest possible squat too. So I'd say I'll probably end up like really on average doing 750, but I will make it to the 1,000 mark today.
That's like a prison workout. Like,
yeah, dude.
That's
Like,
yeah, that's the way to do it. If you're going body weight exercises, like, which is a great way to get like an awesome cut, like a model kind of body. Which
and the only reward I get externally is an emoji in my username. That's it. The little challenge I'm doing, I haven't said anything like straight direct like to the group. We have a group chat on Telegram, but I'm doing this like for me so I can participate more just like in the entire world.
Yeah.
Internal and external. And at first, I think I will say we're called recruits in our group chat. And then there's the general, like, member. And this isn't bear shit. Like, has some of the same terminology, I guess. But these were, like, people that came together. And they were like, dude, you want to, like, get hard as fuck?
That's kind of gay.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Which is okay.
But no, not physically. Like, why aren't you crushing? Like, if you look at how many traps people. I don't mean hard as fuck physically, but it's still kind of gay.
No, I understand. I think I get the concept.
Yeah, like if you look at all the traps of people's, I mean, like the Bible calls it sin.
Vices.
You can call it
greed.
Huh?
Greed, desire.
Yeah, just
that's what it boils down to.
The chains of desire. If that has gotten us into like so many problems.
The root of suffering.
So, like, how many times do you want to listen to somebody on YouTube talk about how that sucks? Like, what? Well,
see, I listen to that stuff. Like, my use of a podcast is like when I'm doing and in the flow state, I also add that. Like, I just want to hear like a cool, groovy conversation. I'm not, in that moment, I'm not trying to be doing so much because I'm already doing, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
well, no, that's the point. Like, if you're doing, that's what you're doing. Like,
yeah.
Enough said.
That's what I'm saying, though. So I understand where you're coming from, but I'm not judging it in the same sense. Like, I am actively, doing a lot of shit and taking responsibility in my life in ways that I haven't really before. Trying to step up and save up and build assets and maintain a family, and I'm doing good. But for me, the podcast is just like, I put on podcasts when I'm at work. I'm like pruning flowers, and I got,
Well, I was talking more of a genre of podcasts, not like media straight up, but like, how many times do you need the truth to be exposed to like realize the truth?
Yeah, and
like,
then you have to do something about it.
Yeah, and so it's not. Yeah, instead of like, and I listen to you, man. Instead of like self-projecting and being like, dude, I think this is awesome, so therefore it is awesome. Like, I wanted something real for my fucking birthday, and I just prayed for like quite a tall order, thinking God would just like somehow inspire me to be living a better life, But it's
I think at the point that you have that genuine intention, like, that is already flowing into your life.
I don't want to say what it was, and I don't want to say what the response was, but like, be careful what you wish for, man.
Yeah.
And I know I literally just accidentally mimic Jordan Peterson. Be careful what you wish for, man.
I like Jordan Peterson. I don't care what anybody says. Very thoughtful guy.
Yeah, he puts thought into his shit. I haven't watched one thing by him that I didn't like. I haven't heard him fully own. I've heard him kind of like the only thing I don't, and I'm not even gonna say don't like. I'm not judging the guy, man. Like, if you were gonna hold me accountable 100% to my past, like, you wouldn't like me.
Sure.
I understand that life is growing, and I think depending on consciousness, it doesn't matter what fucking age you are, but I've heard him talk about like his whole entire like addiction thing, and then the going to Russia thing. Yeah. I've heard him do kind of like a victim mentality, and nothing to like the crazy leftist who's literally just screaming at somebody. Yeah. But like, I think he conveys very well like how emotionally traumatic it was. But I've heard him do that like to a degree where it makes me question that, and then that's it.
Well, yeah, like, Jordan Peterson like has serious like depression issues.
Oh yeah, he has demons. Yeah. Like,
so you're gonna get like that sad, that angle of things. That's just his problem. I think we've been there at points in life.
Yeah, you know what's crazy? Now that I'm not there, when it comes back, it's stronger. And then that's, once again, dude, I feel like it's a frequency. It realizes that I've been raising mine like very slowly, very like surely but slowly, like very steady, very slow. And it's like, I think it's always going to be there, but it's like throwing it twice as hard and then twice as hard the next time because I'm getting away. And all right, now I got to let my fucking dogs in.
Well, I think when he brought up Jordan Peterson, it sparked in my mind, I read a little article or post or something the other day that Jordan had made on Twitter, and it seems like he is kind of starting to spearhead part of the fight against COVID. And before this thing is over, I did want to get into just like a couple current events, just as like a time capsule where we're at right now. September 3rd, 2021. That I think the COVID scam is starting to crumble, but there's just like so much
maybe
money
here
and so much invested in it that they're panicking and trying to do what they can to get as much as possible, get away with as much as possible, and consolidate that wealth and try again later. I think that's where it's headed. But
well, you were saying that earlier. I think a certain tribe calls them the grabblers. Not the tribe that you think of when you say grabbler, but the frequency of existence is a grabbler. It's not a certain group. It's not a certain you know what I mean? They've always been trying. And that's another thing. Like, I literally want to write to this guy I started listening to. I don't know if he takes letters. Like my main podcaster, I guess, source of, what would you call it? It's like entertainment, but it's more like motivation.
Yeah, inspiration. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. I was gonna say that, but I was like, no, motivation. Gay.
Same thing.
No, this one guy, I really want to write him because he can break down some like World War II, World War I gravy that's fucking wild. I just have no idea like how to even approach. Like, it's not that I'm dumb. It's just the fact that like if you go to the library, how many books are really like gonna hold more than a couple pieces to the puzzle that they like want you to know? But yeah, like if you put yeah, I guess, I think they've always tried, man. And
Well,
the thing about that frequency is that eventually the higher frequency always wins. It might be a very long play.
Yeah, they go back and forth.
Yeah.
It's very kind of yin-yang. I think the energies...
Even better. Yeah.
But it does seem like the good always triumphs over the evil, and the evil slowly reemerge. It's a pattern at this point.
Yeah, and then, Joe Rogan said it. Owen Benjamin said it. The strong men create, fill in the blank.
Men and so on.
That's a good representation of...
Joe Rogan was part of what I wanted to bring up this week. That I don't know if you saw it, but his story blew up. That he got COVID. He tests himself like every day. I
don't like if we're really going to try to publish this. I don't even want to say the word.
What, ivermectin?
Yeah.
No, I'm not afraid of censors. At that point, freedom of speech to me is an unlimited human right. And anyone that opposes that or tries to stop it is an enemy and a criminal, and I don't acknowledge their authority. So I find another route. That's why I ended up in prison. Like I don't accept things that don't make sense. I just find another way to go around.
But instead of going to jail this time, they'll just ban your video.
Joe Rogan.
That's all it was.
Yeah, no, I got you. It's lesser punishment. So
you're even more like, all right, let's go.
I'm not so worried.
Okay, but yeah, I was.
He big story blew up. I don't know, last couple days that apparently he had COVID and he took ivermectin, a couple supplements, monoclonal antibodies, and 3 days later he said, "I feel great. I feel better than usual today."
Yeah, people hated him for it.
And the far left, whatever you call it, the like weird retard group that we seem to have that emerged.
Dude, NPR lied.
Somebody I didn't expect, Matt Taibbi,
Yeah.
published an article about that he shared on.
I bet he was paid well. Like, no, they straight said it's a horse anti or deworming drug. And that's what they said it was, dude.
And it is,
right?
But it is also approved for humans.
Yeah, and like my mom takes gabapentin for anxiety, dude. Yeah. That's an off-label prescription. You can do that to your own discernment as a fucking doctor.
Beyond that, they just didn't even acknowledge that it's a human medication. I mean, the propaganda is just like that blatant now that I think people you wouldn't expect are starting to notice and wake up to the fact, like this is just absolute like theater. It's bullshit. It's a circus.
Well, give a shout out to I think it's FCCC 3Cs FCCC.org. It's like this page for COVID-19 medications, and it's like most of it's about ivermectin.
Yeah. Well, that's the one that has had actual, worldwide clinical trials,
look it
evidence.
Up, dude. Because that's where I found was it Peru? It was Peru, maybe in France. Like that's where I didn't read the whole entire study, dude. I have a lot of shit going on, and that was a couple weeks ago without the download that I have received. I was too lazy. Like, I'll just say it flat out. I was too lazy to read the peer-reviewed study.
Medical studies are not real fun to read either. They're just like very, very dry medical jargon. Like, you skip through to the conclusion. You read like the components of the study.
The abstract always has like the short.
But I mean, if you really want to dig into an issue and find out what's going on, and you do.
Wait, I thought it was called FF. Oh, dude, the Grabblers, man. It was, I think, FCCC.org, but now it's called COVID-19 Critical Care, and maybe it was I was told by my brother to Google that website, and it popped up. Yeah. And now when I type in just the letters, it's Fall Creek Christian Church and Fijian Competition and Consumer Commission. Like, who paid the algorithms to boost that shit? But yeah, I mean, literally the first link under the website link says ivermectin. How to get ivermectin? Frequently asked questions lecture. IMAS plus prevention and
I think, even people that normally just go with the flow, if they're paying any attention, are starting to notice,
I'm an idiot.
like, all the absurdity in this, and that they're just flat out lying now through their teeth and not even trying to, And
it's FLCCC. That's why I couldn't find it. Good. Frontline COVID-19 critical care.
Our government has always lied about everything, but at least they used to be slick about it. People believed it. They kept the lies to something plausible. They tried to make sure they had their loose ends. Now they're just out in the open.
It's an all-out free for
all
all of just who can get the last little death rattles of profit.
Well, and this COVID thing is playing out differently all over the world. Just the fact that all these governments stepped in and the mask that everywhere, it's a political thing of some sort. The question is, where's the end? But you look at a country like Australia right now.
Yeah.
For the last few
let's
weeks,
pull up an article.
Okay.
Let's straight up read an article.
Let's dig into it. Because, this is the most significant thing as far as economy.
Where do you want to? The Atlantic,
structures.
Fox News, COVID Safe app, Australian Government Department of Health. And this was... Oh no, okay, that's an old... That was in July, just of an app. Just for contact tracing.
I'm going to start taking some notes and writing down some
okay.
I go through it every day. I pick up 5 or 6 big news stories and pieces of
right
info
here.
every day.
Australia debuts Orwellian new app using facial recognition geolocation to enforce quarantine. Intrusive policy actually represents an improvement over current restrictions, analysts said. And that's...
Well,
how is that possible?
This is one of the things that I found out through Thomas Paine podcast, actually. Interview with a couple guys. But 4 months before the whole COVID thing started, about the same time that the Gates Foundation was putting on their Event 201 simulation of what would happen if a novel coronavirus broke out and caused a worldwide... When they were doing that, there was a company interested in developing track and trace technology that was either funded by the Clinton Foundation or the Gates Foundation. I can't remember which, but I was surprised because the Clinton Foundation actually comes up a lot in the funding of all this. It's all run through 501c3 nonprofits.
Okay, we can keep it strictly...
But they received I believe... This I can't think of the name of the company. See, that's
what are some basic?
They received a huge government grant several months before the whole thing started to develop track and trace technology in conjunction with, I believe it was the National Institute of Health or one of the health-related groups. And so you start to look at it this thing has not happened. There is no virus out. None of this is going on, and they're already receiving however many $1 billion of funding to create this technology. And I could dig back into it and get you a link and an answer by next show, but I'd have to dig through some stuff to get there.
Oh wow. I mean,
but I found out there's several companies that immediately before the whole pandemic started received these just massive multi-billion and couple $100 million grants for track and trace technology and all this kind of stuff. That's their end goal, is to have you biologically wired in to the Internet of Things in conjunction with GPS monitoring, tracking, putting your money on a digital wallet. That's where this is all going. They're just trying to roll out this infrastructure without telling people because they know people would be opposed to it if it was out in the open. But this has been DARPA's goal since the beginning, I think. It's not a new concept or a new movement. These people have been working on this for years. They've written books about it.
something I didn't have a term for, but like ever since I got the term, that concept's expanded. Just the revelation of method. Like, that's why, so they told you where we are. You know, we're on a spinning planet, and you know, the moon is a satellite, like, what do they call it? A planetoid? Fuck it, I don't know. I'm not a astronomer. You know, and then there's Mercury and Mars, and they're all 3D spinning planets that, see, it comes in waves, the gnarly tiredness. They always have to include the truth, but like, that's where narrative, like they've always had the narrative, but I think until recently, like, literally the internet fucked it up. Yeah, but then they counter punch with the disinformation and shit.
Well, if things weren't this egregious or this propagandized, it's always been bad. Yeah, since at least the 50s or 60s, through the development of the CIA and all these processes.
SICPA? Is that? Yeah, that looks like it. In 2007. Never mind. Yeah, I mean, that's a tall order to Google. I just typed in... what I type in? Government grant geolocation technology Clinton Foundation. It's not geolocation.
No, it's track and trace. They used that phrase. That's one of the things that was significant. But it's a buried little thing that's hard to find. I go back through and find the interview.
No, it's all good because this is what I want to start doing. Like,
yeah,
you can do the current events, and I'll make fun of them.
Okay.
But I want to be on like an equitable level, like to where I'm not just a dope and making fun of it, and you're not just running the show, and then I'm not just gonna be an overbearing guy poking fun at the hilarity at all of this.
I think you put too much judgment on yourself. Like, I think
definitely.
You're overly worried about, like, I don't know. I think to really just go with the flow, you can't. It's hard to do it when you have expectations and standards like always beating down in your head. You know?
Well, okay. One reason is like I wanted to be a famous musician, dude. They got me. Like, they cast a spell. And they got me really good for fucking years. So that's where I'm coming from failing. At like an unachievable lottery, dude. Yeah. So, I mean, it's been... Like, I got my first taste of reality in Nashville in 2015. Of like actual self-sufficient, like a sustainable... just pattern of life of living and shit. And it went back because I went back to the shit, and then there was like a ton of grief just from the addiction part and the drama I caused for all my friends and family and shit. And so I'm like coming down off a lot of victim consciousness. So whatever I'm fighting in myself, I go super hard at. So you're right, like it's very projective, but it's all based on like either insecurity or the being like trying to attain unsurmountable fucking odds.
Yeah.
And then being and I'm starting to get past, like, I'm the one who gave myself those unachievable goals, so you're an idiot. Like, and there are definitely fragments still left, and not just left, but like the last year, like it was the first time that I moved to this house, and it was the first time I smoked weed in my backyard of the house. This is my first house. Me and Emily are completely like sustaining ourselves and shit, and I smoked weed, and I had this big tree, and I looked at it and was like, I almost literally saw the code. Like, I saw the energy flowing through it and out of it, like into the ground. And I just remember looking around being like, man, if one of my friends had this house, I'd be super petty that I didn't have this house. So like, what are you doing, bitch? Like, silly. Like, yeah. So no, but that was like one of like the closer moments to clarity where I was like, and then it took a couple days for me to feel that way about myself, like to feel good that like, and not proud, just like, hey, you had a goal. You know, like kind of a life, what do you call that? Like
milestone?
Yeah, kind of a milestone. And
I just drew that tarot card today about milestone.
Good.
Yeah.
Of course.
There we go.
There we go, baby.
It worked.
Yeah, man. So it's a journey, dude, and like I say, man, I listen to you. I listen to the people that love me. Like, that's a big thing. I am done listening to people, and I battle it all the time. Like, yeah, one of the 432 hertz like frequency soundscape. I looked into it, and there's scientific research that says it lowers emotional and mental like impulses, because sometimes there's all these vibrations and humming going on at FedEx, and I'll still be busting ass and doing my job, but I get stuck just thinking about like something that somebody said like that was shitty or petty or fucking
just let that shit go.
Yeah, dude.
Because at the end of the day, if it really is all just your belief, your perception, your creation, like, you don't need to keep those things around. That shit, like, that was added in there by some character you shouldn't have created. Like, whoops, I made that mistake to learn.
I'll blip you off the map, bitch!
Yeah, and so eventually you have to abandon those thought patterns that are no longer useful, you know? And, yeah, to me, the comparison and the, like, I can't do that side of things. It would drive me crazy.
Yeah. And no, dude, I feel like I'm killing it if you're comparing to like 2 years ago.
You're doing fantastic. I think the two of us out of like our group of friends and people have probably done the best, you know?
Which is
just as far as
astounding.
Yeah, responsibility, like material success, an understanding of adult life, you know? Well, I think
I was listening to the sermon. Part of the challenge I'm doing was the sermon, and the guy wasn't too dogmatic. Like, I respect that. He made a lot of references to the Bible, but he was just talking just how we got to this stage of soft men, and how we're just letting women do whatever they want.
Well, no, see, I think this is like a part of a systemic plan to break down and weaken our society.
Oh yeah, they said that in the 60s, though, man.
Here's
like,
the thing. There's just an article I saw yesterday that in China they're going hard on trying to masculinize their men. Now this, I'm sure you can find like a million stories on, but they literally...
Oh, China? I was going to bring that up, dude.
They banned publicly discussing the trans thing. Like, anything that is anti-masculine is now off limits in China. So they're bolstering up the strength of their young men. They're focusing on, strength, aggression, masculinity, gusto. And over here, we're arguing about whether or not, a man should be using a woman's bathroom. Our society has been just so distracted. It doesn't matter what it is, why it is. It's been so fucking distracted that we are losing the fundamentals as a society. Not as individuals, but societally and culturally, the fundamentals that hold things together are pretty much gone. And that's a scary place to be. It's like
on big picture, and I guess only if you're looking at data though. But then look in your immediate life. That was gonna be my rebuke to our last stream, man. Like, and I said this to Emily the other day in the car. I was like, man, like one of the spells that I'm like starting to break down is like they pump us with all of this information that could be like. I don't care if like they're trying to 100% control the narrative, or I don't know if they're trying to fill us up with despair. Like in my life, the mask thing was annoying. I quit wearing the mask, like refused to wear the fucking mask. A couple months into it, it did take me a minute compared to some. because I was scared, dude. And then, but once you realize, like, you don't have to fear. Like, there's one thing to fear, and I've never understood that statement. And I'm not even gonna say it because I'm like so anti-dogma that I have one fear, and my own free will can manifest that fear if I'm gonna let myself. But you don't have to fear any of that shit. Like, scared to lose your fucking job. Look, dude, I was talking to this tradesman the other day. Like, they're begging people to get fucking jobs.
Yeah,
okay?
Yeah.
Like, there are jobs out there. You're scared. Like, I'm always scared that I'm going to lose my insurance. Oh, there's like a million different things that I can Google. Like, churches giving away insulin. I can go to these clinics, pay $50. Sometimes they even give it away for free. Like, there are always resources, like, if you're willing to do the work. And
that whole thing is part of structurally where this COVID thing wants to go. Like, what it is representative of. They want all these people to quit working. They're at the same time trying to depopulate because they already have the AI infrastructure and technology. It is able to be created. They're about to start rolling out the infrastructure. There will be no jobs for these people. At the same time, they're buying up all the residential properties to make them permanent renter. I mean, they're literally creating a slave class again.
Yeah,
and
dude, but I think
it's funny people don't see it. Is what
I think more, dude. If Emily's dad, who's a lifetime employee of Subaru, very like pro fucking Trump, fuck crooked Hillary, bought everything, still thinks Q is going on, to the T. And I understand that there is some truth to it, but like
Trump was a part of it the whole time.
But
or at least at the end, if not the whole time.
Right, I'm saying, I'm with you. I was just trying to be kind.
He set up this scenario, created all it. Like, you can only believe the hopium for so long, and then when you don't get real world results, and they keep moving the goalposts, it'll happen next month. Oh, it happened because of this. And we said, that's
and it's actually happening. If they said what wasn't going to happen didn't happen. Even though they said it didn't happen.
That's the hallmark of a scam. You keep moving the goalposts.
Yeah.
You set somebody's hopes for something, then when it doesn't happen, you change your story, just enough to kind of like vaguely predict and match it. And
you have to have like probably a certain percentage of shit that resonates with people that they can actually like.
That's an intel op. Though.
Yeah,
I think
well,
he probably came from the FBI.
A couple people I listened to said it was all AI.
Well, that is a huge component of it, and that's where the whole Tyler thing comes in. And Q was allegedly a Tyler AI. Like, it was the root of it was Tyler AI, and it grew out of some government project. But I think that. Also, maybe just a propaganda story, because I think what you're seeing play out in reality is the whole Q thing. Now all those people are labeled terrorists. They've arrested 600 out of 800 people that were there January 6th. Most of them were like old middle-aged Midwesterners who just walked through and said hi.
Right.
But they haven't arrested the other one who are working with the FBI because the whole thing was set up by the FBI. So it seems to me like that was a propaganda op to entrap and gather information. Who all believes these things? Who all is going to be opposed to it? So they can identify. Then they roll out the track and trace. They're on top of all this.
Okay.
That's going to be the hard part dealing with this, is if they ever really do want to put the boots on our neck and rush everything out, it's going to be hard to fight. And it's getting pretty close to where people better wake up soon. We're getting there.
I saw something a little chilling. This Asian guy was talking with Elon Musk. They were like on a debate.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and Elon, it was just a clip, and Elon Musk didn't even say shit. He was like, machine are not as smart as human. Yeah. And he was like, you're dumb. Like,
you don't know.
Yeah, I mean, look at the algorithms, dude. That's AI.
They had AI beating grandmaster world champion chess players like 20 years ago. Like, think about where they're at now, because that to a computer, that's just math. That's just probabilities because they can see shit like that.
Yeah, and the stand-up, the AI stand-up comedy I listened to was partially funny because I knew I was watching an AI do stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
But some of the jokes were just funny.
Yeah. But
Like,
it may be unavoidable though that like these worlds are just gonna merge and mesh, and there's nothing we can do about that. Like,
well, you always have control over your own sovereignty.
the only thing that worries me is people allowing everything to go so far and being so on board with this whole, we have access to your body, take these vaccines. Like,
yeah, you don't.
Yeah,
But you don't, man. Do you listen to any common law guys?
Not much, because it just doesn't.
Dude, no, I can show you. Actually, they scrub them pretty fast. But TomBarnett.tv, this dude's like, he could be a genius, man.
No,
but
they are correct. Like the whole
no,
sovereign
not
citizen
just
argument is
correct, but like he has message after message after message after like dozens of messages of people like reaffirming it, like, yo, like they were trying to get my business to wear a mask, and I did this, and like I don't know it well enough to tell you.
On those things, yeah, you could, but those are things that you could easily fight in court. Like that's because they break so many different rules and regulations. Like it's absurd that. I think they're just testing right now what people put up with. And
I agree. And I think that's, like I said, Australia is an island.
I mean, they're literally building quarantine camps. And I don't even know what to say at that point. People don't get it. It's
who said, quote unquote, wake the fuck up? Was that?
The Nazi regime literally started with a quarantine. I believe it was a 15-day quarantine that they said these Jews have this, in these neighborhoods, have this sickness is spreading around, they have to be quarantined. They're doing it to all of us, right? It's frustrating because...
Hey, do you know Variety, the news source? What are they like? You know
Variety, like the magazine?
Yeah. Oh, it's a magazine? Bunch of gay guys?
Variety is like a celebrity, like...
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, then can we read this? We'll end on this. All right, here at Variety, China wants sissy idols and effeminate men scrubbed from entertainment industry. And get this, here's some spellcraft. Patrick Frater, spelled Patrick Frater.
Brother. Frater means brother.
Frater.
Brother Patrick. That's the kind of thing you could use as an identifier, like covert communication, and that's
right.
The way you could, potentially, but it also could just be a guy's name. That's either one is likely.
No, let's cover this. It's not super long, because this is hilarious. But to know that what we have going on, like mainstream, the all the narratives in a soup pot over here and then over there. So the Chinese government's crackdown on the tech and entertainment sectors has now turned to sissy idols, effeminate men, and all things overly entertaining. The measures were sketched out in an 8-point plan on Thursday by the National Radio and Television Administration. It called for further regulation of arts and entertainment shows and related personnel. Announcing the measures, the Communist Party of China's propaganda department accused some in the entertainment industry of bad influence on the young and of severely polluting the social atmosphere.
Yeah.
One of the 8 sections to one boycotting being overly entertaining, explained a need to put more emphasis on traditional Chinese culture, revolution culture, and socialist culture. It said that authorities will establish a correct beauty standard and boycott vulgar internet celebrities. It also called for Chinese media to spread more positive values and for trade associations in the television and internet entertainment sectors to provide more training and self-discipline. The guidelines also called for the marginalization of people who have broken laws or whose past behavior has gone against public order and morals, and for bans on idol audition shows. In a repetition and strengthening of past edicts, the guidelines also called for a ban on huge celebrity pay packages, fake contracts which enable earnings to be disguised, and tax evasion. What? Based China, dude, almost, or like 3 more paragraphs. The new regulations suggest that Chinese leadership in some ways wishes to turn back the clock to a simpler and purer socialist era, perhaps a more self-reliant one that is more driven by command economy concerns and is less capitalistic. President Xi Jinping has called for a national rejuvenation with tighter Communist Party control of business, education, culture, and religion. That has implications for, among other things, the important foreign entertainment content. Hollywood films are this year struggling to get released in China. And after a more than 3-year ban, restrictions on Korean entertainment products had been seen to ease, but commentators now suggest that easing may go no further. China's LGBTQ community may also feel deeply uneasy. While homosexuality is no longer classified as a mental illness in China and was decriminalized in 1997, same-sex relations remain mostly taboo. Gay entertainment content has remained in a gray zone, and foreign films with gay themes such as Call Me By Your Name and Bohemian Rhapsody have been heavily censored or removed from screens. Earlier this year, the dominant messaging app Weixin, WEIXIN/WeChat erased all past content of the accounts for the campus LGBTQ groups of China's top universities. Oh, there's way more.
Yeah.
We got it. I thought that was the end.
Is just that, like, yeah,
they're doing everything that I'm doing in my own life.
Yeah, and you know that it strengthens you as a person, and China is gearing up. I think at this point it is a global government, but a nation as big as us or China in opposition to that, or could really change the way that whole thing rolls out.
Oh, I'm okay. No, that's how I wanted to end it. I want to end it with reading this.
It's just the fact that they are this dictatorship, mandating it authoritarianly and not allowing people. That's the thing we don't want here. But from like a top-down perspective, China is right. They're doing the things they need to strengthen their society to take the main role in the world, which they've more or less already done. So, yeah, things are not looking up too much in America, but they are, because people really are waking up en masse the last few weeks. I think it's about to go down.
I don't. Okay, that's a humongous article. See, I want to start doing this, and I will have this shit pulled up. Yeah, but nice. LGBTQ soldiers celebrate diversity, speak their truth. Army.mil. And this was in June 29th, 2021.
I just imagine a sketch comedy scene in my head, though. Just like some gay soldiers beating the shit out of a dude.
Yeah. Or you have a bunch of gay soldiers, and there's just a guy like being like talking to a female military officer, like biblically, like with all the correct respect, and they beat the shit out of him for a fucking hate crime, saying like he was raping her by like asking her if like where her father is, so he could ask her father to start the courtship and shit. All right, let's read a couple paragraphs of this. Yeah. So we just read the China one. Washington. Soldiers representing the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer community virtually celebrated Pride Month Thursday as a part of discussion that marked another step in the Army's growing recognition towards the LGBTQ community. The participants shared personal stories and experiences, as well as equity, diversity, and inclusion efforts taken by the Army, along with how the policies have impacted their lives. The soldiers also discussed the importance of LGBTQ representation within military ranks. Every June, Pride Month is a national observance that is held to commemorate the Stonewall Uprising in Manhattan, New York in 1969, a historic tipping point when the gay liberation movement to empower all LGBTQ Americans. Since then, the LGBTQ community has made significant progress towards equality. However, with change have come setbacks. Like,
Yeah, no, the whole point to me of that is just they've got us that distracted.
Yeah.
Like, whoever is pushing all these issues into the social even if it's just us as a culture, we're just that debased and fucked up. Like, the whole point is China's over there masculinizing their men, getting ready for war, telling their society to be self-reliant, focus... Like, they're doing all the shit you need to build a strong society, although they're doing it in the absolute wrong way.
Yeah,
but
yeah. But...
And over here, our soldiers are debating for a participation trophy. Like, the whole point of the army, you go in, they shave your fucking head, you're nobody, you have no identity, you have no...
Yeah, you're a machine.
That's the whole point. I'm gay, you don't need to be acknowledged, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
We're cool with you being gay. Nobody cares anymore. But you don't need a participation trophy for being gay and a soldier. You're just a fucking soldier. I don't give a fuck about identity. I don't care if you're black, white, gay. That shit does not matter to me. What matters to me is like who you are as a person. I thought that's where we're supposed to be as a society. And instead we've gone the complete opposite direction.
Yeah.
And they have us so distracted that most people can't even have a debate because they'll bring up this bizarre left field shit and start arguing these little petty points that have no relevance. Is it inclusive enough? I don't give a fuck. Does it get the results?
Yeah,
Is it
do you got the
working?
results?
Is society functioning?
Do you have warrior DNA?
Because we can be as compassionate and caring and inclusive as we want, but if society falls apart around us, who cares? Like,
yeah, I'm gonna kill you for it.
Yeah,
Like,
it gets to
just
a point.
kidding. That was crazy. Only if I have to,
we
amongst
would
my
all
survival.
do it. That's the point. It gets to a point where, like, yeah, all that shit goes out the window the minute we have to survive. And I think people have forgotten that because things were so comfortable for so long here. And we're just now at the first point in time in American history where, like, we genuinely be taken over, be usurped. And it's already happened. They sold us out to China. But
I mean, they said they were going to do it. Some Russian oligarch said it in the 60s, man. And because the nature of existence is fractal, it doesn't matter if Russia said it or China said it or or if it's someone in our own country saying it to ourselves. Like the Third World War, there will not be a single drop of blood, even though we're still like barbaric and doing that shit in other places. It's going to be a spiritual war. It's going to be a war of this. I don't know.
It's going on right now. Like, that's what the whole COVID thing. We are in a war propaganda, information, spirit. Absolutely. Like, that's their whole. What's the thing? Like, forcing everyone to put a mask on, parade around with no facial expression. That's exactly what it is. They're creating this show of compliance and this. It's sickening to me. You know?
And they set it up so perfectly with the virtue signaling fucking...
This is like a long unfolding propaganda plan that's been ongoing for 100 years. Like, it's not a new thing. And I think that's where people just coming into this kind of stuff have such a hard time grasping it because they don't know the history and all the other information.
Right. I didn't know that a lot of the Civil War was about basing currency on labor. Instead of gold, because labor was more honest. The South literally wanted an economy all backed by labor.
Yeah, but that's also because all their labor was slave labor. It really is just a greedy capitalist argument. So the North didn't have slavery, so they didn't have the labor market. They were going off assets, but everything was being made in the South, so the South had a huge amount of leverage and advantage. And the Civil War was an attack on the Southern economy as much as it was an attack on slavery.
Right. So just knowing that means we've been like a fractured state. Like if you look at America as a whole, at least since then, dude. But, if not the whole, and maybe the founding colonies, like they had their own states because they were all in different states.
But
like
we had a basic cultural fabric where, like, if you had a penis, you were a boy. Like, there was certain shit that was just like you have to work to live.
Well,
like,
maybe you're not progressive enough, dude.
There was certain shit that everybody agreed on, and the world worked.
No, and it's crazy. The closer I get to being a biblical husband, my wife just
becomes more biblical, dude.
Dude. Yeah, she just like starts doing awesome shit.
That's how it works.
It's like, and it's hard for me because I was raised liberal and like compassion, which really has now I'll use transmute now. It's transmuted into coddle, not compassion.
Yeah.
Like
They use some tricky alchemy on our culture.
Yeah, dude.
That really is what it is. I think a lot of
It's
those guys
some
are
fucking
occultists that probably
soul
do it that way.
spirit magic, which alchemy, yeah, because I think alchemy like encompassed more of the morphing and the flexibility of the fabric of reality, but not in the way that like now there's 72 genders. Like
they've transmuted culture
Yeah.
and society. Like
right, if you had a big paint stain on your face and you didn't know about it, like I feel like now the neo libtards would say, dude, you look really cool.
Yeah,
like that
you
really
can't
matches
even
your
bring-
shirt.
yeah.
I like the way that looks. Instead of me being like, hey, you know you got paint on your face, right?
Well, that's what worries me is not even the current situation, but say 2 generations down the road, that's when we will be completely broken and debased outside of Amish, little pockets of people that...
No, dude, breakaway cultures and
And that's growing too, so I shouldn't frame it so negatively because that is also growing. People that are opposed to all this shit, growing faster.
Bertaria.map? Is that it? Let's Bertaria.map. Hold on, I'm gonna show you something.
Yeah, we'll wrap this bad boy up and call it a day. Flyover Statements. Episode 62, 49, 38.
Oh, map.beartariatimes.com. You want to see some crazy shit?
Sure.
I'm already... What? I'm already on Beartaria Times.
Young Jamie, pull
you-
that shit up.
You can't fucking... I'm part of BeartariaTimes.app.
Yeah.
But I'm not part of the community because, I mean, I could post my house. I think Emily said no internet friends until I've hung out with him 5 times at the house.
Yeah.
So, but it's just a map worldwide of homesteads.
Yeah, I got you.
And like, dude, yeah, you're not going. It's not the goal yet. Maybe longest you'll have to go 8-10 hour drive to find, just somebody who's down to throw the fuck down. But like in more, I'm talking like in Texas, like where there's tons of country to just go. But yeah, the fractured, self-reliant communities are coming, and I'm looking for more. Like if it's all frequency and vibration based, like Owen Benjamin is not the first, well, maybe the first one, but not like I've just got into that because like the prepper, all the prepper fear-based shit like sketches me out.
Yeah.
But there's communities that we haven't heard of that have been doing it. Like they've seen the writing on the wall
all over the place. There's all these little kind of subculture communities of people that are resentful, I would say, of the mainstream narrative and culture and where it's going. And there's all these pockets of people opposed to that forming all over the place, almost like little cells. That's probably what the FBI would call them. Terrorist cells.
Well, dude, that's because it's all fractal, man.
If we let it go that far, and hopefully we've all seen enough by now to like put a can on this thing, send some people to prison, and call it a day. Like,
or just go about your
fix some
business and
shit.
fuck them. I'm not worried about prison. I'm the prison or not, man. I think the people trying to live in truth will have the last say until it comes again, like, and it might not happen this year, it might not happen in 5 years, but eventually I think that's the thing I'll leave on is like I'm just going based on my own personal experience. Like if I can't appreciate what I have like directly in front of me, or I can't be efficient enough with what I can control, I'm not going to be able to help anybody else. So you just really got to focus on what you have going on and get your life dialed in. Like try to crush and just know that you won't always, because we are human, and like we are imperfect creatures, but that's like part of the beautiful subtlety.
Discipline, hard work, self-reliance, like all those things have a very valuable place.
Yeah.
And our culture seems to have largely forgotten them. So I think that's the thing we can all get back to and all do in our lives to make a difference and to make things better, you know?
Yeah, I think people who want that are doing that. And,
yeah.
If not, like I think on a much larger level, like this year, people are like really seeing the value. So if you're already doing that, you got a step up. But it's not even about that, because like there's iron sharpens iron. So like the more shit that you have to go through and endure, like the more dialed in you can be to a goal. The more grateful you can be when you reach that goal. So like with that mindset, there's very little for me, just me to fear, man. So
yeah, no, fearing things just draws them to you more and makes you more vulnerable to it.
But you can capitalize. You can monetize fear.
Yeah.
So it's dangerous.
Fear can control people, and that's what they use it to do, you know? So
Right.
don't give in to the fear.
Thanks for tuning in. I want to wait for the perfect second.